September Ways and Means Committee meeting. Roll call, please.
Chairman Sims,
Here?
Alderman Leahy,
Here.
Alderwoman Tice,
Here.
and Alderwoman O'Neill is absent.
Item number 2 of the agenda is the approval or amendment of the agenda. I get any objection, any changes to be made to the agenda? All right, well, that'll be approved by acclamation. We can do that, right? Okay. All right, moving along. Item number 3, announcements, appointments, proclamations, and recognitions. 3A, Citizen Budget Forum. Do we have anything on that? At this point, any member of the citizenry that would like to come forward and speak their piece, they'll have 3 minutes. Seeing none. All right, no, 3A is the Citizen Budget Forum. So is there anything that's different than 4A, which is citizen comments?
No, we just open it up, and if they want to come speak about the budget, in the past, people have come and read off what they'd like to see us to do, what we'd like to see us for us to do or put in the budget, and I don't see anybody here that's going to do that.
Okay, we'll move right along. Then I was ahead of my skis just then. So 4A is citizen comments. So any member of the citizenry want to come forward, make general comments? Seeing none, we'll move right along. Item number 5, report of committee chair and alderman. 5A is the chair. I have no report. Alderman Leahy.
No report.
Alderwoman O'Neill is absent. Alderwoman Parker Tice.
No report.
Okay, we'll move right along. Item 6, there does not appear to be any report of the city administrator. Am I correct on that? Or is there? Okay. Moving along to item number 7, department reports. 7A, financial status report. Karen, you want to
I
lead the
will-
charge on that?
Yes, hang on, let me get to my, I didn't print one off, and I got to open up my copy of it. But you all got a copy of it. Before I get started, I would ask if there's anything specific anybody would like to ask. Otherwise, I will just go through it and highlight it, basically. So, does anybody have any questions?
Appear to be.
To me, we're on schedule for basically whatever, any anomalies we might see in there. I still think we're still on schedule for what we've told in the past. I'll point out that, again, the 4430 in the general fund, account number 4430, that has a minus 3,243%. Again, that's because of that school resource officer, and we didn't have the agreement signed in time for the budget. That's probably going to change a little bit too, because we now have somebody working in the schools who makes considerably less than the SRO that we had when we put the agreement in place originally. It was Craig Eisenbeis, and now we have a new guy. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Not Diaz.
But you infer that the contract for the RSO hasn't been signed for the 2019-20 year?
I don't have any numbers, no. I think it needs to be revisited. I think, let me rephrase that, revisited in that there's going to be less they may have to pay, because they have to pay 75% of benefits and salary of the person, and that person is now making a lot less money.
One of our entry officers.
That is correct.
Yes.
One of our entry officers is working as a school resource officer. And then one other thing I'll point out, the interest lines are a little bit more. We've already gotten, I think, close to what we anticipated. But we also got the bank, where bulk of it is, they're very conservative with it, to up the rate, and they agreed to. So we might try that again in another 6 months. See if they'll up
Don't
it
ask,
again,
you
'cause
don't get.
They aren't coming to us and telling us that they'll up it, but so we're getting a little bit more in there. Again, if you want to jump down to the not stormwater, the sewer lateral, that we bring up all the time.
Yep.
We are really, really hoping that, when I say we, I'm talking about me and Dan, as we look at this, that maybe we won't have to move all that 95,000 or that, we said we'd move from the general fund, or 90,000, I mean.
Yep.
And we always wait to do that anyway, closer to the end of the year to see where we're at. So we're hoping that maybe we won't have to move as much. And if we don't, then we won't. We don't have to necessarily take that to the board because it's just in the budget and we just say, we're going to do 45,000. We would probably tell the board, but we're going to wait and see if maybe we can not have to move as much. And that, the only way that would happen is if, we don't go over and we get a rash of sewer lateral repairs or something. But it doesn't seem like we've been on task as far as how many we were doing this year compared to the last couple of years. So we just got to take a wait and see on that one. But other than that, that's it. It looks like we're, doing pretty good, other than, if you also see the estimated fund balance at the end of July for that is minus 27,000. That's, because we are spending more than we're taking in because we haven't got our assessment yet. That's all I had on it. If you have any other questions or any comments, I will be happy to listen.
Alderwoman Tice?
Madam Chair, if I could ask a question. So way up at the top, the sales tax, 4025. So it's
In the general fund,
in the general
Right,
fund.
right.
So it seems to be on target not to hit what the budget is going to be.
well, that 39% means that that we're on target.
We are on, okay.
Yes, we're on target. Now, when we get into, but if you look at July at this time last year, we had more than we have right now.
Yeah, that was
Right.
sort of my,
So we'll cover a little bit more of that when we look at the proposed revenues and the theory and thought behind what we came up with for the current year. All right?
I don't know.
Anything else?
I'm good.
Okay.
Great.
Item 7B, the audit CAFR update.
Okay, so just a little background on this. As up until about 2 or 3 hours ago, was still getting this was fluid. It is now out on the website. I just gave you copies for you to read. I'll go through it and you can kind of follow along as I'm going through, but the bottom line is there's no CAFR done yet, which means there's no audit done yet. Our code says that within 60 days after the close of the year, it doesn't say end of the fiscal year, it says close of the year, which who knows what that means? Because I'm pretty sure even before I came, the audit wasn't getting done within 60 days at the end of the fiscal year.
Oh,
So what that means is that it's the close of the year when they get everything and closed. Because I mentioned that later on in this memo that our code says that. And if we're going to stick to that, literally, then the code needs to be changed. And the reason why is governmental accounting standards allow us to book in the prior year those taxes that we get from the county 60 days into the following year. Well, if we're still collecting taxes 60 days in the following year for the prior year, there's no way I can get an audit done in 60 days.
No.
So I think that may be the reason why it's stated at the close of the year, so that when you get the books closed. But that doesn't, in this case, it doesn't really matter because we still don't have it, and it's been way more than that. That's the first thing. The second thing is the state auditor requires that public or political subdivisions submit financial statements by June 30th of the following year. It does not say audited financial statements, it says financial statements. We met that requirement in that they have certain forms which looks like a financial statement. They're not quite as all of our funds, it just is what they required. We met that minimum required by June 30th. I did them and submitted them online, and we've met that requirement. So in that case, we're okay. So, but so far, we haven't met our own code of 60 days. And the second thing is, we've never, in the last many, many years, not received the certificate of achievement. financial. Well, I have had to ask for 2 extensions, and we've gotten them. What that means is we won't know of how we did till way on into next year. I don't anticipate them not giving it to us because they are not grading you per se on your audit, your findings. They're grading on you on whether or not you presented clear, concise financial statements that are accurate to your public, to your constituents. And we anticipate that we will have that. So I don't anticipate that we won't get that. It's just that it's being delayed. The most critical, worst thing about this whole entire thing has to do with the certificates of participation. Emma, which is the website that we're required to be transparent and put disclosures out there and everything, it has not been updated with the 2018 financial audit because we don't have one. So that not only affects what we're trying to get, it affects all of our other certificates, 2014, 2017, and 2018. Because that website is for us to download that for disclosure for all of our certificates of participation. So I have been in contact with, the mayor's aware of this, Sonny and I have talked, the bowl is aware of it, and the problem lies in the fact that we went out to bids and we got 2 separate accounting firms because prior to this, when from at least 13, 14, and 15, Showalter and Jabouri did both the CAFR and the audit, which that's like the chicken garden, the hen house. And it's not best practice. I don't think it became a really strong best practice until into that agreement with Showalter and Jabouri. But at any rate, so when we went out to bid, we separated it. We don't have an accounting software that allows us to do a CAFR that quickly. It's very, as you see the book, it's very extensive, but you see what I have to put together, which is basically almost key coding things in because we don't have software that does that kind of financial statements for us. So we hired Bots Deal to do our end of the year adjustments, our government wide, which is part of a CAFR, entries and all that. They give them to us, and so we rely on their expertise that they've gotten what we need to give to get the CAFR done. So basically, they are doing that separate work. Daniel and Jones, for the last 2 years, prepared the CAFR, that very intricate document, and they submitted an auditing of their findings. They haven't given us the CAFR yet. I don't know why. I can speculate because the young man that was here before would whip it out like that. He left right before our audit started. He quit the firm. And when they came to do the audit, there was no replacement for him. The girl that used to come with him came. She's the one that's doing this CAFR, and she's been doing other duties. So I guess what I'm saying is I would love to, quote, let them go, but we're so far into this, my only option is, and I'm somewhat going to look for direction from this board. I tried calling them Tuesday. Nobody returned my phone call. I got an email saying, we're done with our other audits, we're working on it. And even as we sit here, I'm getting emails from that girl for things she says she didn't get, but I'm positive I gave her already. So I started to send it, and then I thought I'm going to wait till after tonight, after the meeting, because what I'm proposing to them is, if you don't have me a CAFR ready to go to my next board meeting, the 16th, then I want to know as soon as possible, and I want all your work papers. And I will find some other way to get the CAFR done by the 16th. I would like to have, my goal is to have a final audited CAFR ready for someone to come before the board on the 16th to present. That may be an unattainable goal, but it's going to mess us up on our going out for our 2019 COPs. I've talked to Jim Leahy, which is with Stiefel, and what happens is, first of all, we have to report that we didn't get one put on, we didn't meet the June 30th deadline for Emma. And as soon as we get one, we will put it on. But he suggests doing just what we're doing, getting it done as soon as possible, documenting why we didn't have the proper software, or this firm didn't get it done, And then what do you have in place to keep that from happening again? That's always my goal when there's been an error, a mistake, or whatever. What can we do to keep from happening again? We're anticipating getting our software upgraded by November 1st. We're in the middle of talking with them. We are going to have, I just was talking to Martin about a download we got to get done on tomorrow. And then we're going to sandbox it, which means get in there, my staff play with the new one based on what they've downloaded from the old system, and have it up and running by November 1st. It has way more capabilities than what we have now. It also might not produce the entire CAFR because there's notes and there's this and that, but it will at least produce financial statements the way we need it to be produced, which is we're one step ahead of the game when we go in with an audit next year. So those are our steps to have in place. With that documented, Jim Leahy feels like if we can get an audit as soon as we can, if it's not the 16th, the first one in October, but I'm really pushing for it. And I've gotten every excuse you can imagine that even when we get it done, it's going to take us another 45 days for our audit firm to go over all of that.
Yep.
My response to them was, you've had stuff from us for the last 3 or 4 months. Couldn't somebody have been looking at some of that and not waiting until they're done? And the answer was no. Anyway, that is my goal to see. I did not want to shoot off that email to the managing partner because they won't return my calls until I talk to the Ways and Means tonight.
To me, it seems like there are a number of things going on in what you just said. Starting with the easiest, are you saying that you're going to have updated software in the coming months where the limitations will kind of be removed, and so we'll just
Some
have
of the
to
limitations will be removed.
deal with what
Because that's-
we have now and
Yes.
move on?
That was one of the things I asked
Okay.
in interviewing
Okay.
firms.
To me, what you're describing seems like a major client relations issue. I mean, if I ever treated a client that way, I'd probably be facing a malpractice claim. But it seems to me you're at the point where you're now making a demand letter for damages resulting from their failure to get back to you. I mean, if they cause us to lose something with our COPs or other damages due to their delay, they ought to be the ones that pay for that. And I think that, I can't help but put my lawyer hat on, but other lawyers that deal with the city. I mean, it seems like does the managing partner realize that that claim is out there, like, growing as the day goes by? I mean, do you want us to bring them out under the carpet and explain themselves? I mean, to me that seems so unprofessional. And I don't really care if someone left the firm. We're still their client, and I'd just have to stay and work through the weekend and until 2 a.m. until I was ready. I mean, that's
Right. And if they can't guarantee me that, that's probably what's going to happen in my case. And thankfully, Michelle Graham of Bot Steel, she's aware of this too, has said, whatever I can do to help. That's probably what's going to happen if I have to get the work papers from them. But 2 things. One is, even though Bo's aware of this, she's been gone for 3 weeks, or been out of the office for 3 weeks. When she comes back on Monday, I want to follow up with her. I still would like to send the email that I was going to send, and I was copying you and the mayor and Bola on it too. If you wish, I will copy the entire Ways and Means Committee. But basically, it was said, if you cannot guarantee me that you can't get me this by the 16th, I want your work papers. And the thought at the time was, I just need to get over this hurdle. I'll deal with them, whatever damages we need to get out of them. I just need to get something so that I can get an audit. That's what my email basically was telling him. I need your work papers so that we can do something else.
I'll defer to the subject matter experts on this one, but I mean, what kind of fallout does that create for you if you say, all right, I'm going to cut ties, I'm just going to go with another firm, and we'll just deal with it? I mean, is that going to be
Well, I don't think
this further behind?
We're already in so deep, So right now, to me, the sooner the better. I even talked, Lisa's in her office, I've talked to Lisa. Lisa's been involved in all this too. And Lisa's concern was, well, what about, are you sure the work product's going to be okay? And I'm comfortable that it is, because they have sent me some work papers and I've looked at them and, questioned things or whatever. So I'm not worried about that. My goal now is to get this audit done so that we stay on schedule of what we set out for the COPs, so that we don't lose any, we don't get downgraded, and that we don't have to pay more in interest. And the interest rates are really good right now. I've heard that 10 million times from Jim Leahy. The interest rates are really good. That's my goal. And if it's, what that means is to get an audit done. That's my first hurdle. Then the next hurdles are, that's the other thing. This firm, we had a 3-year contract with 2 one-year extensions. This is the 3rd year. So.
This is a material breach of that contract, in my
Right,
view.
so we don't have to, we'd have to go out for bids or whatever we have to do again. That's all things that I'd like to discuss operationally with BOLA and decide what we're gonna do. My update and my reason for giving you this is to say, this is what I'd like to do. I just need to get, if we wanna send a letter from Mr. O'Keefe or whatever down the road, that's fine, but right now, I just want to know that it's okay if I say I need that stuff and I got to pay another $2,000 or $3,000 to somebody to get this done, then that's what I would like to be able to do.
I mean, again, I defer, but to me, it seems like a demand should go out. They need to make this right. They need to compensate us for the damages that we suffer. And the idea that they would then proceed to charge us for correcting their error makes,
Right.
there would be steam
Right.
if I were a cartoon
But,
coming from
but,
my
the-
ears.
but what they can come back with is, have you had any damages? And we don't know that yet. We may not get any damages. We may, per Jim Leahy, we get the audit in and we get all that and we document it and we say what happened. They may not downrate us. That's what he seems to think can be the path,
Least
the best,
resistance.
yes.
What kind of scheduling heart attack does this create for us? I mean, because normally this time of year, we're looking at a CAFR and we're looking at, we're revving up for a budget, for
Right.
a deep analysis and budget approval and proceeding, so we're on track. I mean, now are we gonna have to double up twice a month for,
No, this would just, the CAFR would just go to the board, be presented, any findings they have, just like we would have done back, whatever, March, April, May, whatever the time frame is, it would get submitted to GFOA and that's the end of it. At this point, if we weren't going out for COPs, it wouldn't be that big of a deal, other than we haven't put it on Emma yet, which is that website. And that's UMB Bank does that. We don't do it.
But they got to have the documents to
That's
do.
correct.
And we can't
That's
give it to them.
correct.
yeah, I'll step off my,
You're doing fine.
my anger and then defer to Alderwoman Tice.
Well, I have like a logistics question. So say you send this email and they say, oh yeah, we're not going to do it. Here's your work. So
I
then,
have to get somebody else to do it.
and
with
then
me
how will
when
you
I-
do, like, is there anybody else who would do it? And
Yes,
how,
Michelle Graham with Box Deal has told me she will do whatever.
would do it,
Yes.
okay,
She's the one that did the adjusting entries.
She knows where our
Right.
missed numbers are.
And they have a program. They do these CAFRs for other people. And they have a box program. I swear this girl's doing it manually. I think.
Conceivable.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think they have a canned program that you put stuff in and it comes out. So I don't know for sure. I don't know that for sure, but that's how
there
I
is a
feel.
legitimate, like you could, if you, assuming you got it, you could.
Right. At this point, I'm putting it back on me to get this done and forget the excuses, which has got to get done, whatever it takes.
In our professional service agreement with Daniel and Jet, is there timeline spelled out for things to be turned back
I
over to
believe
the-
so. I haven't pulled it up lately. That was all like, so the RFPs that were done were based on the RFPs Gene and Jarvis did in the
Yes,
past. It's
that
just
was
that we split
3
them
years,
out.
4 years back.
Right. So whatever was in there is what we used, and I think that's it was spelled out.
Something to share with Mr. O'Keefe if we
Right.
go that route.
Right. And he will ask for
Yeah.
all that, yeah.
From there, yes, the 2 one-year extensions, this is a bad act in the way of bad timing on their part,
Right.
because it puts their potential for extensions
Right.
offline. My hope would be, yes, I understand the timeline, but I can't give you a blank check saying, yes, come hell or high water, get it done so that we're through.
Right, I understand that.
And give you
I
gross
understand that.
gross
Right.
pay. I'm I knew that we were running a little late, but I was thinking that was because of other things that were going on. I didn't realize the change of personnel and stuff. I thought that you had purchased the software update early in 2019. I'm surprised
out
that
to
it's
bid.
coming in November.
We put it out to bid, because we went through with
Yeah.
IT. And they had, I can't remember when, it was March or April, May, June, somewhere in there that they had to turn them back in. And then we had to go through them, and then I think we didn't bring it to the board till like June, but we will still be doing more additional module upgrades
Yes.
next year.
Yes.
Purchase orders and that. It's just the part where we want for financials will be done November 1st.
Okay.
And we just started meeting with them the end of August. So we've got a very aggressive
Tight,
schedule.
to make it work.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Would I be accurately speaking for the board if I said we'll defer, and if you need us to put a thumb on a scale or
Yes.
twist the
Yes.
screw,
And in
we
fact,
would be happy to assist?
Right.
Yes.
And in fact, as Chairwoman Sims and I have talked about, one possibility that I am going to wait and see if we need it is to have her call. We've already let him know that it may be a call from our attorney or from our Chair of Ways and Means, who is an attorney.
Okay.
So we're at a point where I want you to know what's going on. Jim Leahy's aware of it,
But,
and we
yeah.
do not want to, I don't want to see January being when we get certificates of participation, because we just sat through a cash flow analysis on how to invest the money we have right now. And
Your
this is-
intent's to get it cleaned up
I
before
want
they
this
come to
done.
us
There's way
with.
too many other things that I need to be dealing with, and this should have already been done, so.
Super.
But that was my update, and I will keep you guys apprised. I may, if it's okay with you all, as I find out more, email the entire Ways and Means Committee.
Certainly would be fine by me.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
yeah, please
And I
include
will
us.
leave it to the chair, the Ways and Means, to get it to the other board members. I will just send it to Ways and Means
Okay.
and BOA. Okay, great.
Any other questions on that?
No.
All right, item 8, nothing on the consent agenda. Item 9, no old business. Item 10, new business. 10A, the 2020 proposed budget revenues.
Okay. That's the one that I got a really big sheet on.
Yes.
So last year, I think I implemented this, and we only went back 4 years. Well, let me back up a little bit. You guys didn't really see these proposed, the board didn't see the proposed revenue till we brought you a proposed budget, had
Yes.
everything in it. But in order to kind of get a start with the departments, to kind of let them know what we have to spend when they're preparing their budgets, we came up with and gave you what we think the amounts are going to be. And truthfully, I think last year or maybe the year before, at the Ways and Means Committee, after discussions, one of the aldermen, we changed some of the numbers based on their suggestions and what they wanted. That's what this is for, is to open up that discussion and ask questions about where did you get those numbers, and then if there's something that you feel strongly about changing, we can make those changes. But the very first thing I want to point out that the department heads have already been told is that we're anticipating general fund revenues down 1.08%. Now, they kind of looked at me bug-eyed, but what's being proposed as compared to what we actually got from 2018, actual revenues, is nearly 2.7% more. That's a little bit more than inflation. So, in other words, I didn't base these numbers on what we're proposing on the last year's budget. These numbers was looking at the last 5 years, every one of these line items, and getting an average, and then taking what we've done through July of this year and annualizing it, what we think we might get, and then taking those two numbers and getting an average and looking at all those numbers together before I decided what to put in for a proposed number. So with that said, go ahead with your questions. Anybody?
Your decline.
Yes.
Is it based on the increase of the sales tax itself? That we went from 9.3 to 11.1?
Are you talking about,
The sales tax increase, I'm at the 4025 line.
right, and you're talking about economic development?
Well, the fact that the sales tax next year will be higher than this year's, do you attribute that to your decrease in the revenue because that tax went up? Or you just
No.
think the economy's going to go sluggish
No.
and you don't see as
So,
much?
and I didn't give you guys this, but, so for example, what I was just talking about. If you take that July 31st number, what we've got, and you
Yep.
annualize that, meaning you,
Divide by the 6 months that we've got so I
Correct.
can get it
Right.
out the other 6.
that says we're going to get $5.9 million.
Yes, it
I
does.
don't think we're going to get $5.9 million. But if you take the last 5 years,
Here.
14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, that averages out to just a tad over $5 million. So if you average the 5.9 and the 5 million, that's 5.5 million.
Yep, okay.
So I said, to be on the conservative side, hey, it's great if we get more than 5.6 million, but we need to plan for not getting it as far as the expenditure side is concerned. That's where I got 5.6 million.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I can change it if you guys want.
That's the big argument. How
Right.
conservative
Out your
do you
crystal
wish to
ball.
propose?
Right, right. And a suggestion, if we think we do want to change it, would be to flatline it from what it was last year, which was 19, I mean,
Yep,
5703.
okay.
That would be one suggestion.
But that's
Or
higher than what
or
you're
something in
proposing.
between there too, or whatever. It just, that was one of the figures that a previous Ways and Means Committee asked us to lower. Because I think we increased it, and I wasn't going to increase it based on what analysis of the last 5 years.
Are we on this line? So I guess I have not being an economist, not working for the
Right.
Fed, but like, it feels like there's a lot of discussion in the broader world about tariffs and, I mean, I guess if things get more expensive, then there's more tax, but are people going to be spending less if their groceries cost more?
Right.
Or they
Right.
have
And
to buy a
that-
refrigerator and that's
right.
more expensive than.
That's the crystal
So
ball.
that's the, and nothing.
Right.
But that, it makes me a little nervous to even be this similar to
Last year,
last
or
year.
this current
Yeah,
year budget.
yeah. I don't know what the right number should be. I don't
I
know how
know.
to, I don't know how to do it or guess it, but it just,
Now,
just feels like the economy's not
Right.
swimming upstream.
so let me just add too, another reason for the decrease in overall is MyGov came along, which is computerized everything, and Lisa's Kirkemeyer's department took over the business licenses. It used to be back in finance, and it was very manual. It went full-on electronic, they do it online and everything, and Lisa pretty much did it on her own this past year. In doing so, she found some businesses who were being charged that shouldn't have been charged, and they were paying it. So she let them know, you don't have to pay, but we didn't refund them anything. And then there's obviously some that, moved out that we'd sent things, so that got lowered because we may not, which is,
Cleaning.
yeah, it's, 4,100.
Yep.
Actually, no, it didn't get lowered, it got raised, but the reason is it's my same analysis, and then because we are electronic now, we can send out notices saying you didn't pay, and that was another thing we changed. They didn't get a new license every year, so they can hang that up there forever and not pay their bill. And unless we walked in there and physically checked it, we couldn't shut them down. They now get a new license every year that says this expires on this date. And that prompts them, and now we can keep sending out So now we're able to collect better, is basically what I'm saying. So that's where we came with on that number. It did go up a little bit. But then, what was the other one? There was another one. State motor. One that I also went down is if you look on 4015 financial institution, and you look at the 5-year history, look at 17. Nothing.
No, yeah.
So I lowered that. I feel like we need to be more closer to what we really think we're going to get. And look, as of July 31st, we've got $12,000. I don't think we're going to, because we only get those at certain times. I don't know that we're going to meet that 40,000 this year. And if you look in 18, we didn't meet it in 18 either.
Look at line 4370 and explain why that went up 107%.
Wait a minute, line,
It's the trash. It's 4370. I was looking at too.
oh, again, that was based on my analysis. If you go back, trash, 25, 28, 20, we consistently collect that. Last year, we did 31,000. So, and because that comes out of my office, and I keep up with it, I think it's closer to the 30,000 than the 14.5 that we put in there this year.
Didn't we raise the fee for people to do backdoor trash?
That's correct. You're right.
Yes, but
That's
most of
the other
those did
reason.
not renew for that and went to street.
Right.
So what you did raise, you didn't make up from everybody else that was.
Right,
My
but yes.
dilemma is the reason I'm asking is, in your trash bill, are you also working the recycling versus recycling going to trash, trash to recycling?
When you say, are we, what do you mean?
We lost the ability to do the full recycling.
Right.
We have Republic's thing, I will take it in at this, but I'm charging you this much. If I get to recycle it, I may refund you something.
Right.
Is all of that in this calculation? Or is
Not-
that kind
not-
of still out there floating?
Yes, that's still out there floating. That's not necessarily, and this really hasn't been anything discussed with any of the departments. That would be Dan, you know?
Yes.
This was based on simple averages. It may be something that
I would
don't know.
expect this
Yeah.
bill, I would expect the bill for trash to be higher and the offset of recycling to be lower. So you getting to 30,000 as a net profit may not happen.
Well, so.
That's
that
the way
part-
I was looking
right,
at that.
That part about this goes up and that goes up, that's gonna be Dan having to address in
Yep.
his 6290 or whatever it is for solid waste disposal. He'll
Yep.
have to. And
Okay.
at that point, when we sit down with them, we can also look at that and what, that particular revenue and what we think about it.
All right.
I just know what we've been billing and what we're already past almost what we've said we're gonna get this year. So that's the reason for that one.
All right. May I continue questioning?
Go right ahead.
I'm down at account 4430 for intercity joint agreements. This is Brentwood and Clayton, Brentwood and ECDC.
I believe
Is
that's
this
the
also
school
the
board.
park?
It's a school board with the SRO.
Well, you went up 2,400%.
That's because,
I'm sorry, I'm lost then.
because that, again, when I mentioned that back in the July statements, how we didn't have that agreement in place, so we couldn't budget for it. And for the SRO officer, and
Yeah.
that's why we're at 3,200 and something percent over. We couldn't budget, so in 19, we only budgeted $1,600 because of
We thought the
some
rest-
some other little agreement we have with somebody, I don't remember what it was. But now that we know we have that SRO agreement, we had to budget what we think we're gonna get. That's why it went up so much.
Okay, thank you.
Another thing that caught my eye was the slate premium that's up by 22%. Is that common or
Okay, so,
585?
well, if you look, we've been getting over $60,000 for the last 2 years.
Coming back to us.
Right. And that, and even though, and I think we already know, or did we get it yet? No, we haven't. I think we know we're gonna get more than 45 this year. So that's why I upped it.
Okay. Do you have any more questions?
I do have some questions. So, well, maybe I'll start at the bottom. So 4540 false alarms,
Yes. 0?
yeah, like, do we not, you and I kind of talked about this
know.
briefly, but I wanted to raise it, like,
Right.
is this,
Okay,
it may not be,
so-
it's not all that many dollars
I
coming
know.
in, but it seems,
It could be more. So one of the people that used to work at the police department that was in the front, records clerk or whatever, that was her job to bill on those. And so when she left, there was nobody to take that over. And I know, 2 separate police officers who had been involved with that with her prior to her leaving, tried to do it, because it's not complicated, it's tedious work. Keep up with, because, as you know, it goes up if Macy's or whoever has 3 or 4 false alarms, it goes up and up and up. So they had to keep track of it, bill them if they didn't pay it, send out a new bill, blah, blah, well, that's not getting done. So as you see, we haven't collected 1 dime this year. So I put it 0. With that said, this is preliminary. I have talked to the chief and to Jim. I've mentioned it to Bola, and I've asked him, is there any way their senior law enforcement analyst, can't think of his name, Tom Bettini, if it's possible, one of those 2, well, now one of them's leaving, he's retiring, but maybe the other one could train him on how to do this. And if that happens, then we can change that amount, and we might even be able to collect some for this year. But it's a matter of getting that implemented.
Is it not? I'm under the impression that the city receives a weekly police report on these were our calls, and these are what, is it not that that's reported on that sheet and that can't be transferred over to a billable line?
Oh, I think whatever
just-
CJ got was very clear about what were false alarms and who they were for. I
Yes.
don't know exactly what the report was. I don't know if it's that, but yeah, probably pretty easy.
I mean, it's not like we're trying to reinvent the wheel. It's a matter of just tracking it.
Correct.
And I thought the police do that because they put it in their yearly
is.
end of report.
Right. It's one thing to track. It's another thing to get
Get
the
the bill.
address and to bill it and to do all that. Now, a person in my office used to help her with that.
She'd convert
mainly-
it from the report
right,
to
and
the
then you
bill.
would book it, but
We're not doing it.
No.
Okay.
But again, it's been addressed with the chief and Jim, and they're aware of it. And I really think they're going to probably try to implement it, and if they do, I
Can
put
bump it
something
up.
back in there.
I have more
Okay.
questions. So why, and this is because I'm new and I don't understand how the taxes come in, but like capital improvement fund is down, but the stormwater parks and parks is stable, and they both are sales tax.
I know.
What's
And I
the
can't,
rationale?
again, let me go back and preface this by saying this was all done based on the averages. I can't answer why one is this and one is that. We simply book whatever the state and our county sends us. I will tell you that, remember too, that these figures that you see, like, for example, even July 2019, that wasn't gross. We have to take some of that and pay to the TIFs out of those funds. It's based on the calculation or whatever the agreement was with the TIFs. So in other words, we probably got, off the top of my head, so stormwater 12/31/2018, it says 3.36 million in 2018. We got more than that. Part of that, I think we take some of it out of stormwater, or maybe it is just capital. But we have to give some of that back to the TIFs every month based on the agreement.
That we made with the
Yes.
MDC.
Yes.
Yes.
Additionally, we have 2 TIFs, Meridian and Hanley Station. The Meridian one, an additional
more.
agreement was, if we don't get this much, you have to give us that.
Yes.
In other words, if the calculations throughout the year don't meet that amount, we have to give them that. And we haven't met that amount since I've been here,
Correct.
so.
Yes.
Okay, so, but I'm back to my question. If they're both sales tax driven, why do you show a decrease in one and the other is even? It just
Because
doesn't,
again,
I
I'm
can't.
going by what has been happening over the last 5 years. And that's what I'm saying. I can't determine what the county's gonna do. My numbers that you guys got were strictly based on, so for example, the annualized for July says we're gonna get 3.27 million in the end of the year, by the end of the year, if you annualize what we got through July. If you go through the last 5 years, and I'm looking at stormwater,
Get there.
it's 2.9 million.
Yeah.
Between the two of that, that's a little over 3 million. So on my conservative side, I said, okay, stormwater is gonna stay the same. When I do that same rationale for capital, it doesn't come out to that. So I lowered it.
that's, okay.
Yeah, her forecasting's based
Right.
on
Okay.
Yes,
past performance.
that's correct.
So these are like teeny amounts, but like festival revenue, like, the reason that's down.
It's gonna go down because well, I thought Eric could answer that. Eric can answer that better. Yes, we're taping
Oh,
it.
the TV.
I haven't had a chance to talk to Karen Karen's formula. She should be down that 7,000. We probably should bump it up because we're hoping to get sponsorships around that 15 to 25,000 dollar mark. We're going a little bit high this year to try to for the centennial,
Right.
which is why we budgeted I think 23.5 this year.
Right.
We might not get as much next year, so we'll work with Karen and Janet to see what we think will be probably a little bit more accurate. But I think it'll be somewhere between 18 to 22,000 for next year as we finish up the
Better
budget.
than 7? That's for some. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so then the two areas where I sort of question the amounts are 4060 Cablevision, and then I'm back at the sales tax. But 4060 Cablevision, I'm assuming that's the tax that we get from people who have cable. So there are people, like, it's one thing when younger people cut cable, and now people my age are cutting cable, but like I have talked to people my mother's age who are getting rid of cable and trying to figure out how to use the different streaming mechanisms. So if someone in their late 70s is cutting cable, I can't imagine that it's going to only go down by
3%?
3%.
Okay, so let me jump.
But I mean,
Right. And I've had the exact same thoughts because, well, I want to get rid of cable, but then I got to learn about all that other stuff you got to do. That's true. And I haven't had the patience. But anyway, 7-month annualized, July would be 144.
Yep.
The 5 years, 157, and so between the two, it was 150. I just dropped it 5,000 to 155, but that was one of the ones, actually all of those, because those are all driven by their gross receipts, is
Yeah.
one I thought it should be more than 3.13%, but I just don't know. And again, I will defer to you guys if you think it should be even lower than that. Because that's the one at the end of the year when I'm trying to make sure if we're reaching budget, that's one of the ones when I start sweating. Are we going to get enough in toward the end of the year, the first 2 months of the following year, that kind of stuff. But I certainly could see your point. I would probably, if I did lower it, I would probably do it to the 150 that is the last calculation I
conservative.
made. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I'll go ahead and just go on record and say that I will make that 150 if that meets with your guys', yeah.
Your intent here right now is ballpark what you think the revenues
That is
will be.
correct.
So the department heads, that's where I think your expenditures should be.
Right.
And we'll see. The other half is how much of a budget amendment are you anticipating us doing at the end of 19? Because we have played numbers around.
So one of the things,
Well, before we get into that,
Right.
why don't we just focus on revenues? I mean,
Yes.
We're not really on budget amendments now.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, okay.
I'd rather
Well, that's-
stay on
but
point.
by
But
staying-
that sounds like a big meaty question, and
The
I
trick
think
there
we
is
should just
that
stay on the
helps to,
revenues.
that helps to determine how conservative was your budget estimate for revenues as to what you moved around. Now, if
Right,
you
but Andy,
large.
I'm saying, like, I'm not saying I don't want to get into that. I'm saying right now we're focused on revenues. So if
Yes.
you have a question that's specific to revenues,
Okay.
forecasting in 2020, go ahead and ask it. But I don't think now is the appropriate time to be
Okay.
talking about amendments. It's just, we should allocate time for that
Okay.
when we have that information in front of us. That's what I mean.
Proceed.
But if you've got a revenue question, by all means.
No, the numbers that I saw here looked reasonable enough to say, yeah, where do I think we'll be next year?
I want to just add one thing that I meant to say about the capital sales tax. Even though it's going down 1.73% prediction, just like the general fund, that's a 3% increase over the actual money we received in 18. So I felt like we needed to be conservative, and that helped me make my decision. In that it was still an increase of what we actually received in 18, and I still felt really comfortable just leaving it flatlined for storm parks and stormwater.
So I'm back on this sales tax thing, and I have not done this before, but it just, the economy doesn't feel as rosy as it has in the past. Do you have like other budget directors you talk with to confer about what other
No.
municipalities are doing?
No, they've never done that. We've always done analysis just like this.
House.
In-house
And
analysis.
the
yeah.
other thing is, I would say to that, so you feel we need to be more conservative, or we need to up it?
No, I feel like we need to be more concerned. I guess
Okay, so here's my answer to that. So we've had many consultants come before right there. Cook and Riley, PGAV, I don't know who else. And have come up there and have told the board that, looking way down the road, that they feel like sales tax is gonna grow. And I will be honest, I questioned one of them, a long time ago, I don't remember who, but I said, if we continue to raise the sales tax rate, will people still shop here? And will that lower even though we raise the rate, will we still be getting that revenue? And they said yes, because we are such a prime location in that, and that many people come here to shop. So with all that said, I feel like this is the middle of the road. They predict it's gonna go up, and I predict it's gonna go up in actual from what we got in 18. I don't think keeping it what we had last year or in current year, I don't think I think we need to be more conservative. And what that does is sets the tone for how we're gonna spend the money. And like I said, if we get tons more money in, great, we'll put it in the fund balance. If we don't, and we start seeing that in the middle of the year, we're gonna tell the departments to cut back on something. You can't get this, or you can't get that, or we said we're gonna transfer this amount over to capital, we can't now because general fund's not getting what we anticipated. So you can't spend as much in capital. There are other ways to monitor that. I just think this is the middle of the road.
Did the state pass the internet sales tax? And in August of this year, we started to see that? Or we haven't received the August numbers from the state yet, so we
August,
haven't seen
September.
anything.
No, we have not. We have
But the
not received
state,
them.
the state did go to the point that Missouri can charge for
Right.
internet sales.
But isn't that honor system?
I don't believe it is.
Okay.
Because it went through the state legislature.
right.
Thus, we should see
Right.
that money
Like
coming in.
Amazon or
And at
whatever.
one point, we thought it would be 28,000. Bola said, no, it's 100 and something thousand is what she would estimate for a yearly income.
Now.
But I haven't seen that number come through the
With
through the
that
book yet.
said, what he just said about 28 and whatever,
Is that even on here?
it's not on here.
That
No,
would be all great.
because I don't think it took effect till
No, and
August
not
of
only
this year.
that, those were estimates two different places, and look what the difference was, 28,000, and that 28,000 was from a pretty good source. And whatever the other one was, nobody really knows what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
So no, it's not, again, not in there.
Okay. Good, so
because
we have
it's
some
based-
hidden
yeah.
money coming, potential.
Possibly, yes. I wouldn't hire a new person over it, but yeah.
No, no, oh, no.
No, I'm good. No, yeah.
No,
thanks.
I liked
Yep.
I loved seeing the spreadsheet. I had to grab last year's budget, though, and go through the paragraphs to tell me what made up each one of those titles.
yep.
I don't have those
Right.
memorized.
Well, we can make a
No,
note to do that.
no, because
Okay.
when you do your budget, you put it in there. I just
Right.
grabbed last year's and
And
said,
got it.
okay, here's
Okay.
what's going through.
Okay, great.
Thank you for educating me too.
No, no problem.
Get to,
Expenditures.
yeah.
That's the fun
fun.
That
This
is the
is
fun
the
part.
easy.
Well,
that
that's
is
when
the-
this audience is gonna be full, because the department heads have to come up here and defend some of
Yeah,
that, so.
That's real popcorn
Can
time
I
stuff.
ask a question on revenue? Or, the library, we're supposed to establish the taxing to go to St. Louis County. We haven't done this as of the 30th of August.
Oh, that's on tonight. That's tonight.
Oh, okay,
That
Now-
gets, done has to be to the county by October 1st.
thank you.
Right.
Now, who does the books for the library and all that sales tax revenue, or all their revenue that's collected? Do they do their own? We do it.
$50 a month. That's what they pay us.
I will talk to you a little bit later, because I have to go through BOLA before I can make that, my request.
Right.
Thank
But
you.
yes, we calculate what the tax is based on assessments. We're about to go through here in a second.
Yep.
And they have access to our financial software, and Jenna, their director, pulls down reports that brings to her board. But
We do the books.
we do the books, we bring them, their new hires on board, we go
We
through.
pay the electrical and the heating and the stuff for
They,
the
they pay us rent of $500 a month.
month.
And then $50 for doing books. We pay all their bills, they bring it, we do the same internal controls we do for the city, and we pay their bills out of a separate account, we reconcile their bank account, yes, we do it all for the library.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, I guess we'll move on to item 10B, the 2019 proposed property tax rates.
Right, so you have in front of you what the rates are. And this gets a little sticky, as I was trying to explain today to Nancy, but what the assessed values that we have been given so far were as of July 1st, 2019. As we all know, well, as you can see, the assessed values for residential went up a lot from last year. And 29 million, as a matter of fact. But these are preliminary. So the Board of Equalization still has to meet, for all those people that don't agree with that.
There were 12 of us in there Wednesday of last week.
Right. And their standard operating procedure since I've been here is to get us, the county, to get us the final assessed values by mid-September.
Yes.
So what you're looking at are proposed based on preliminaries. So another thing that Shelley and I and Helmut and Kevin O'Keefe have been talking about, what this ends up causing is sometimes, and I think for the last few years you may have noticed, we have to have another special meeting at the end of the month when we get those final numbers because of the timing of when I get them from the county. My goal, again, is I've got word today that the county will have the final numbers after Board of Equalization meets Monday, September 16th, and that's when we meet. So we have already put a public notice out there, the 7 days or Shelley did, 7 days in advance, that there's gonna be a public hearing on the 16th about these rates. My question to Mr. O'Keefe was, if we publicize this and here's what the proposed rates are and we say they're subject to change, can I change them to the final numbers that night or before you guys meet, and that you guys actually approve the final rates that night, rather than having a special meeting September 30th? I didn't get an answer back yet.
Your problem is that what goes to the board has to be what's recommended by us, the committee.
Right, but it
And-
doesn't matter if you guys recommend this tonight, this is not what the numbers are gonna be. It's
Correct,
always
yes.
been that way.
But we could always just agree to take it up as a board of the whole. I mean,
Well, we
there's
take up
nothing
the
that says we
topic,
can't.
we take up the topic, and at that point, Karen would make an amendment saying the numbers are now this.
Okay.
And I think the answer is yes, we've done that in the past.
Okay, and that's what I'm waiting on official word from.
Kevin?
Otherwise, You're gonna get these same
If that
numbers.
keeps me from having to go to a special meeting, thumbs up, okay?
That's my feelings too. So that's why I did that. And,
We understand it's a
right,
moving, you
right,
know, you
right.
have the information
So,
you have at the time you
right.
have it.
Hopefully, you will get it. I mean, if I get them, you're gonna get them that night, and we'll be able to say, these are the amended numbers based on the final assessed values. And then we can get it into them in time. It's due October 1st, and their note to us, all finance directors, was there was X percentage last year who didn't meet that deadline, and they don't want that to happen again, so. But anyway, here's the rates. I kind of explained to you what the valuations went up. I will tell you that that estimated tax revenue that you see under general fund, which is 317,000, I didn't change it on the proposed that I gave you because this wasn't done yet. But again, it's going to change again when we get the final numbers. But even if that, we're only anticipating $4,300 more than 2018 final numbers. Library, looks like they will get, tax revenue increased by 23.9 thousand and the pension 26,000. And as, just a little bit of background, there's a 14-page Excel spreadsheet that the state auditor's office gives you. We plug in these assessed values and Hancock laws in there, inflation rates in there, and what it spits out in the end is where these tax rates come from. So they're not allowed to go up more than a certain percentage, and that's all built into, and you can't even try to change anything. It's locked down by the state auditor's office. And so we do one of those 14 pages for each of these three, general, library, and the pension. And that's where the tax rates come from. And then we just give you the comparison of what the changes are over on the far right from the year before. So this is definitely informational and for you to recommend to go to the full board so that we can put it on the 16th meeting. I will say we also had to do non-binding rates back in April, which is just something I think it's the odd years, that they send out and let taxpayers know this is what we think it might be, but they are not binding. That's why they're called non-binding. These are the binding ones when we get the final assessed values.
So are you looking for a motion for us to approve the 2019 property tax rates for submittal to the board?
Proposed, yes.
Proposed. Do you need some tortured language that says with the understanding it's subject to change and
I
subsequent
wouldn't
approval?
mind having it just to cover ourselves, and then maybe it'll meet for Mr. O'Keefe.
Yeah, you can make the motion. I have a question because I want to make sure that
Okay.
you're looking at gross dollars. I'm looking at just what your rateages are. And in what I'm looking at, the 18 to the 19, your percentages don't stay the same. And because of that, I'm trying to understand why the shifting.
Okay, so
If I look at I'm looking at the 2019 post-Board of Adjustment equalization, the last tab that you have.
That
So
was
I'm
my
going
question
down the
today.
residential, the 2019 rates, you've got
Hang on,
residential at nothing, which was the same as what we had in 18.
Right.
But you have commercial at .188. But in the 18 rates, we were .212. How did we change?
okay, I got to pull that spreadsheet up. Hang on just
Okay.
a second. And I might preface this by saying what I sent you, which, well, first of all, let me just get there. I had someone else in my office work on the non-binding rates, and I don't know if he messed my spreadsheet
I
up.
didn't use the non-binding.
I know, but
I'm using your
I
post-
do.
Okay,
I pull it stuff over, and I don't know if he messed that up, but hang on, let me
Okay.
pull my sheet up here. 2020 budget.
you wanted to take a look at those. Let's do that and run it.
I asked Karen that today, because it
Okay, all right.
All right.
So are you
let's-
looking at the tab that says 2019 original? Is that what you're looking at? Are you looking at 2019 non-binding?
I'm looking at 2019 post-Board of Equalization, your last tab.
I have a feeling you guys have the wrong,
sheet. Because the rates changed, and I don't understand why they changed.
Yeah, that was my question when we talked today. I couldn't
Hang on a
understand
minute.
the rate changes.
so. You are. I have something called the 2019 original. That's what we call it when it's that's what you were showing me too, Shelley, wasn't it? Shelley showed me something. I apologize.
Yeah, we've got like towards the end, 2018 original, 2018 post BOE, 2019 non-binding, and the 2019 post Board
No,
of
there's one
Equalization.
called the 2019 original, which is what it should be. Now,
I don't
if
have that tab.
I don't have
That
that.
tab is not in my spreadsheet.
if I send this to you, can you download it so that they can refresh and see it? Would that be okay? Or do you guys want hard copies of it too in front of you?
Well, if you can make that
Happen?
technology happen.
Yeah, we can.
Give me a printing and I'll go run a copy and pass them out.
You know what? I can do that too.
Articulate my question well enough.
Yeah.
I know, I'm sorry. Yeah, you should have gotten one that said, the tab said 2019 original, and I'm going to print those off back there and bring them back in here. And then, okay, would you get them? And then in the meantime, I'm gonna still send it to you, Shelley, for you to download. Thanks. That way it's out for the public too. Okay, I just sent it. Yeah, 2,000,000, 2,000,006. So, well, let's make sure. So, okay, so read to me which number you're looking at that doesn't look like it matches. I see right there that 400,000.
And you're on the 2019 post BOE tab.
I'm on the, Post Board of Equalization.
Okay, so
All right.
which number are you looking
I'm,
at?
well, what I did was look at your 2019 rates and compared it to the 2018 rates that we had. Under the general arrangement, residential stayed even, that was good, no charge. For
Right.
commercial, you went from .188, and in 2018, we were .212. So I'm going, ooh, what happened? Now, if you go to the 2019 non-binding, you're at .177.
Okay, keep in mind, the non-binding was what was submitted back in April to the county that they had to send out.
Pre-notices for everybody,
Correct.
yes.
Non-binding, right. 2018 post BOE are what you guys approved last year. That tab that says 2018 post BOE, is that on your spreadsheet?
Yes,
Right, that's what got approved. So in 18 for residential, it was .2120.
yes,
Okay. And then on down, .2070, in total for our personal property, .4190.
Yep.
Okay,
Now-
those are the 18 rates, right?
Now, go to the 2019
Right,
rates.
right.
And look at them, and I'm going, we're not talking staying. Karen, in the past, when we've gotten to this arrangement,
Right.
we've always stayed very, very steady as to what we've charged the years before. This year, I'm looking at changes in the rates, and I'm trying to understand, how did we get to those changes?
Okay,
Updated
Now-
in your packet.
Huh?
I've updated the new one.
You're
Okay.
assuming.
so,
Board docs?
So I have to go back to board docs and refresh and come back in. All right, so
Click that you guys could pull that off.
let me go do that. So we're gonna close this,
Diligent brand.
okay, so,
back to here, go back to board docs. Okay.
give me specifically what your question is. And I'm looking at the 14-page Excel spreadsheet
Are
that
we
the
at
county.
2019 original, the new tab that's been added?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not there yet. I'm still bringing them up. Okay, we're into board docs, and now we're down to the property tax rates. And now we're going to go down to the spreadsheets. And this is this one here. Yes, okay. There you go.
have it.
Yes.
Out of here.
All right.
I can ask the question too, because
Go ahead.
So
'cause
the
I'm
question is, so when you look at the 2019 original, the commercial rate under the general fund is
0.1880.
1.188.
Right.
But last year
2.110.
is 2 point, yes, 2 point,
Got that?
yeah. So why?
Well, I'm going, because that's how it comes out in the spreadsheet. I do not put that number in.
So that's that state spreadsheet that
That's
you get from
correct.
the state. You don't really have any
Yes.
control over the actual rate.
So, yes.
Okay.
So you put in all the assessed values on the data entry page, and then it flows over, and then you have to tell them what the maximum authorized levy is, which is 0.3400. It does a calculation, and it comes up with let's see here, hang on here, rate to be levied, 0.1880, 0.2070. That's the current year tax rate ceiling maximum that you're allowed to do. That's what that line says. So that's where it comes from.
Okay.
You don't really have any control over.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
How
It's
these
all the
shake
the
out.
state auditor provides you this big, long spreadsheet. And on the data entry page, all the assessed values are put in there, and then the formulas to calculate that come from the county.
Gotcha.
Not the county, the state auditor's office. And when I go to try to even change something, it just blocks me. It won't, it says it's locked, you're not allowed to touch that. So my guess is the assessed values went up a lot.
Mine did.
Well, the assessed value goes up, but the other thing that changed is you had the zoo tax that got passed. It comes in.
Right.
We've just did the economic sales tax that comes in. So these things come in, so you're telling me the rates that are here are based on, I think there are the 23 taxing districts that affect
Right.
the property address.
So look at the library.
Yes,
They're not getting nearly as much as, it went down. They
Yeah.
estimated 390,000. Again, that is based on, and one of the driving factors, which you guys don't have that in front of you, but, assessed valuations, they were 151 million last year. They're 181 for residential. That plays into that. That 30.3 million, you can't just automatically tax everybody on that. So that Hancock law comes in where you
Blocks
can't do so, and then they also do something with the inflation rate. That plays in there.
yep,
So,
okay.
at any rate, that's where the numbers come from, is from this 14-page document.
So as far as,
Debt service is nothing.
But we don't, that would be where we tax people, general
we don't.
obligation for debt service, and we don't do that.
No.
So do you still need a motion made?
I think so, at this point, we need a motion to approve the proposed 2019 property tax rates, which are
Subject to
subject to change
Based on final assessed valuations.
based on final assessed valuations, and to forward those to the Board of Aldermen for review and approval at the next meeting of September 16th.
I will make that motion.
Second.
Do we have any discussion? No. Roll call, please. Yes.
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 So my December tax bill next year will look bad.
I actually had a resident call and ask me help her calculate based on her new assessed valuations, because she was worried. I don't blame her.
Oh, just fun.
All right.
Thank you for taking the time to work with us on that.
No problem.
Moving on, citizen comments. After all that riveting discussion, do we have anyone in the gallery that would like to come forward and address the board? Seeing none, we'll move on.
Motion to adjourn, Mrs. Chairman.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Right.
Now,
Oh,
Karen-
just here, go ahead. I don't have a Ways and Means question. I have a license question.
Karen, this thing goes to us on Monday, the 16th?
For the property taxes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Shelley's already posted the public notice.
Shelley, these licenses, these were subsequently, like, these were previously approved, because I don't remember seeing them before.
Oh,
I don't remember seeing these licenses on the consent agenda before, but I will trust you that they were on them, is what I'm saying. Okay, yeah, sitting here, I just don't remember them. I signed all of them, but if you
Okay,
tell me
yeah,
they
that's
were
true.
previously approved, that's enough for me.